I really need to get back to work on the 2,000-gallon aquarium rescape, so I'm just going to pick up where we left off in the last video. First and foremost, the substrate. You guys will remember that I moved all of this out of the way. And when I did, I discovered a few barbs that the stingrays had shed previously in that aquarium. Now, I had previously mentioned that they shed their barbs every 3 months or so I knew we were going to find some, and I'm just happy we did. However, we only found 3, meaning there's probably more in the sand, so I'm going to have to be careful when I distribute it back amongst the aquarium and keep my eye open for more. I suspect there's 3 to 4 more in there. Now, you guys will remember this entire thing was an AquaDecor background, and in the previous video you'll remember that I was using some simple clamps to kind of hold it in place as I was installing it. And really, I just wanted to get a look for you guys to see what it was going to look like without having to fully install it, because I didn't have time that day. Now, if you'll remember, this came in like 7 or 8 different boxes, and each piece is pretty heavy for its size and the fact that it's so thin, but it's very difficult to kind of hold it all in place while installing it. So I came up with this idea that when I had it all clamped in place, I thought, why don't I just take some silicone coated screws and drill it right into the 1.5 inch or 1.6 inch thick acrylic brace that we use for the lids. Technically, that would kind of do 2 things for me. 1, I don't have to remove the lid bracing, which I was thinking I was going to do just so the backgrounds could lay flat, but now I can still have the same lids on here. And 2, of course, the background is held in place while I can actually work on it. But this worked out so well that I realized I don't really need to do much else other than screw this in place and silicone the seams. Now, I've actually shown you guys how to install an AquaDecor background.com 3D background in the past. I've shown you 8 times so far, or at least 4 times so far. So I'm not going to go over it. Basically, put it in place, silicone it. On a regular aquarium, I like to tip the aquarium up on its back so there's weight on it. With this, originally I was going to take some wood structures or wood beams and kind of place them to brace it and then silicone it in place. However, with such massive animals coming in here, I just thought that screwing it in the back just played so many roles with holding it in place while I silicone it, not making me not have to remove the brace, plus making it so much more durable. There's no way these rays or arowana are going to be able to rip this off or get behind it now. Now, the background is considerably messy right now. I do need to clean some things up. However, all of the main panels are siliconed in place. I still have to work on the roots. I need to pull these back first though, because I need to get in behind the background and work on the inputs to the filtration. Now, this is where the water is sucked in and pumped to the filters, as well as the outputs, which are behind here. And I actually have a few ideas of what I want to do. So let me try a few different things and then I'll show you what I come up with. Okay, for the inputs, I'm going right back to what I did previously. These are simple 2-inch 45-degree elbows with some bulkhead strainers attached to the outside. Now, even though fish are not going to be able to access this, I don't want solid debris that can't break down over time to get sucked in there and ruin the pumps. Now, you might be thinking, what about water? How are we going to get water to flow behind this and circulate the water so nothing builds up? Now, guys, you got to excuse the mess here. We're in the middle of putting this in, but if you remember this pipe, I got asked about this a lot. This is a splitter from one of the returns of the filtration. Half the water is returned over here, half the water is returned over on this side, which used to get blown right in front of these Ecotech wave makers and distributed throughout the aquarium, but now I just got the PVC pipe pointed straight down, which is going to circulate and blow water around. If I really need more flow, I can put all the return over here temporarily as we blow out the back of the background. I've also already gone ahead and moved both the Ecotech wave makers over to this side for additional circulation within the aquarium. Again, I always address filtration and circulation within the aquarium separately. Okay, so for the return I did this. I went ahead and drilled a hole into the side of the background, lining it up with the return on the other side. Then I just ran some simple white PVC pipe, which is 2-inch, over to the other side and connect it to some black ABS plumbing pieces, which is going to allow me to direct it in the way that I want. with a little bit of movement, and that will be the return. I went with black simply because it blends in nicely. Technically, there's 2 filter returns back here. I'm going to have one returning the water behind the background so it's evenly circulated, and I'm going to have some exits near the bottom, and then this will be the main return, which is twice as powerful as the other one anyways. And then we already have the inputs already covered, so now we can move on to the next step. Since the entire background is essentially going to be enclosed, it's not necessarily watertight. Water will still be able to get through some of the places that I missed silicone. Fish clearly won't be able to get back behind there, but there's going to be crevices where the intake of the aquarium or the intake of the filtration can suck the water from in front of the tank, but it's not going to be enough. So what I've done is drilled a hole in one of the logs that isn't facing the aquarium, so we're not going to really be able to see it. Then I'm going to take this plastic mesh that AquaDecor background sent along with it, and we're going to silicone it to the inside. Now this is important to make sure I did it before we attach the logs. I'm just going to take a bunch of this silicone and be pretty liberal with it, because after all we are trying to silicone mesh down, and then simply put it in place behind the background. Okay, so the plumbing and most of the background is completed now. I've got to move on to the base of the aquarium. Before I do anything else though, I really need to clean and really thoroughly dry out the bottom of all the water that's still in there. And then we can go ahead and silicone the roots in place. Okay, so it's been a full 48 hours since the last clip that you guys just saw. I decided I'm gonna give this a proper cure time. Typically speaking, small beads of silicone only need about 24 hours, but I did use some thick beads here and there, and I like to give that a good 48 hours, even upwards of a week like I did for the panels of the 2000 here. However, 48 hours was plenty enough. Let me show you how far we've come. So this was all pretty basic, as you guys seen earlier. All I had to do was put it in place, line the seams with silicone. Each piece that comes in contact with the floor of the aquarium as well got some silicone, but we were left with these standing logs, if you remember, and I strategically placed them here and there. I didn't want to have them placed out in the open here to take away from a lot of the swimming area. I also didn't want to put them in between the roots here because I really feel like I want to take pots of planted tank soil and drop some plants in them and have like large plants coming out. I'd love some suggestions on what you think the plants should be. I think I'm leaning towards jungle val because that could come potentially all the way to the top of the tank and float over. I think that would create a cool effect. But I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. I need it to be 2 things. 1, it's got to be easy to grow. 2, it's got to be pretty strong and big to withstand all these rays and arowana that will probably go ahead and start tugging at them. But back to the standing logs. So there was a few logs here, and you're not even going to be able to tell in a couple of them which is not supposed to be here. But look at this one. So this is a log that I just put in here. I thought it's not one of the standing logs, so it doesn't have a base on it like this. So I thought, why don't I just continue to create a root effect that comes across? And I didn't silicone that in place. I'm also not going to silicone these 2 in place. I just kind of put these 2 off to the side simply to, kind of block off the Ecotech Wave Maker slightly. Just continue the effect of the background here. I also was concerned about this area over here. This is one of those standing logs. See, what's going to happen is this is actually a pretty deep, maybe 12-inch deep cove in here, where what I'm worried about is the arowana. See, what they could potentially do is swim back into this cove and not be able to turn, and because of that, they only have one way out, which is up. I don't want them panicking and jumping up like that. So this piece of wood here is kind of strategically placed to stop them from being able to actually swim back there and jump up, but it also kind of fills in that void, makes it look a little more natural. Although it looks plenty natural as is, I really love the dimensions of it and the characteristics of it. I just concerned that the arowana could swim back there, panic, and go up. Then I took another couple of the standing logs and placed them off to the side. Again, I'm not siliconing them in place because they're heavy enough to stay there. This one especially. I just wanted to give it a little more 3D effect, especially from the other side. Now the reason I'm not siliconing it is 1, they're going to stay in place, and if I change my mind I can simply move them wherever I want to. I've just kind of jammed them in place for now. On the other side of the tank though, it gives it a more dynamic look, I find. And because it's not siliconed in place, if I ever do change my mind, I can certainly remove them. But I do like the idea of, you know, a small log in the front panel here, just to give it a more 3D look. And here's what it looks like over here with the two standing logs on the sides of the wave makers. Now I know those don't look necessarily naturally placed, but I don't want to obstruct the flow of the wave makers. And then of course a quick peek at the other side and what it's going to look like here. Those are those two logs over there, looking great. Again, this is that fake one. I'm probably going to pull that out a little bit more so it touches the front panel. And then of course the one in the back there. Now there are a few more modifications I want to do to the background, including finishing off the back corner. I do need a skimmer up top for my overflow that I use for my drip system. And a few other little minor tweaks and safety precautions I'm going to take. But I want to get this filled with water first to see where the water level is on the background. I don't want to start cutting into that until I'm absolutely positive, and I'm able to do this from the outside of the tank anyways. Now that I have everything ready though, this tank is ready for water. I'm going to start off by spreading the sand throughout the tank, evenly distributing it, and then we're going to fill it up. With the sand in the aquarium, looks far better than I thought it was going to, that's for sure. You guys will also remember this big log we had over here, the biggest of those freestanding logs. I ended up just tossing it in the corner there. We'll see how it goes over time. I actually have an air stone that goes behind it, so that'll be pretty cool. But yeah, the sand definitely makes it look a lot different. Once we start filling it with water though, it's going to level out the sand and of course distribute it a lot better as well. Looks absolutely stunning, doesn't it? Now I want to address a popular question I continue to get or comment is like, I've seen people say, oh, I wish I could have an AquaDecor background, or where do you get them, etc. AquaDecor ships internationally, worldwide. You can get them wherever you want. And they also have authorized distributors on their website. Just make sure you get them from authorized distributors listed on their website. There's a lot of people out there, or a lot of companies out there, that are pretending to be AquaDecor, and they're clearly not. Okay, so I've got the tank filling up right now, and realistically this is going to take about 24 hours to not only fill the tank, but bring it up to temperature as well, get all the filtration up and running, do some tests, make sure everything is running okay, and then we can move the fish in. I hope to be able to move the fish in by this Sunday. But you know, to be honest with you, we are kind of moving through this entire process quite quickly. I know there's tons of impatient people that want everything done in one video, but obviously there's curing times, and this was a ton of work in order to get it installed. So we'll just have to be patient, but the end result is we do it properly and safely to the fish. The only thing I'm concerned about is, did I use enough silicone? There is a little bit of foam within some of the roots, so hopefully nothing detaches or anything like that, but I'll keep you guys posted on Instagram if there's any problems. So if you're not following me there, make sure you do. I'll leave a link in the description. But anyways, this Sunday, like I said, I should be adding the fish into the aquarium, which are doing fantastic, by the way. All the rays are getting along fantastically. I think the first fish to go in will be the little pearl. Look at the little girl pearl and the big boy pearl. Oh, is she a bully? Scared him off? But yeah, they're all doing fantastic. We'll move all 5 rays over, as well as the 4 Asian arowana. All 4 are doing well in there as well. And then the Bisher is in there somewhere. He was just out. He's probably behind the wood somewheres there. This tank is absolutely stunning now, and by far my favorite aquarium.